So I've just made this little makeshift elastic and clip that, oh my word, won't reach. Right, let's try that again. Will it reach? It may reach. I need 2 hands. Okay, we've reverted back to the bungee. All this is to keep the bag nice and open, so when you fly the Spinnaker it doesn't sort of close up around it, or the bottom doesn't flip in and whatnot. So it's just to keep the bag nice and open. So let's have a look here. I'm going to switch over to my other camera because I've got the stand on my other camera. So this is actually the DJI camera, the Action Osmo 3. You might see a slight difference in the video quality, I don't know. Be interesting test for it actually. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the halyard, or the Spinnaker halyard, flying, or attached to the head should I say. So let's get this out here. More. I have now starboard port, and then the one at the head says head, so we know that this one needs to come around. Let's make sure we're not tangled up in anything, and actually it needs to come outside of everything. So outside of there, and then it attaches through here. I am trying to do this with one hand. Yep. There we go. Now, this is the interesting bit. I'm going to hoist the sail now. And just instead of having the 2 sides of the 2 clew stroke tacks of the sail going aft, one of them's going to be attached to here. So what I want to do is hoist the sail, see how that looks with the sail attached here, and we'll go from there. So you can see just how little wind there is here. Right, what I've done, I've got the head all the way up as high as it will go on that pulley. I'm not convinced that this pulley is high enough for the Spinnaker. It really ideally needs to be higher up, but that's something we're going to have to think long and hard about. And then I have got a shackle. Okay, it's a little bit twisted. I'm going to untwist that, and I've just shackled this to here. Now, let me just undo this shackle. I say shackle, it's a really cheap shackle we've got here. Okay, so I've actually just unwrangled that and actually got this on here. Now, normally, let's try and get that off. Normally, this is where you see there's like Spinnakers have a little bowsprit, so you can get this set sort of maybe, you know, say out here. So it might be worth thinking about that, having a little makeshift bowsprit that can come in here. You can put this through it, a piece of wood, and then somehow have something that will keep the wood firm here, you know. So that's an option. But all we're doing at the moment, just seeing if we can fly this, and then let's and then what would happen is this would fill, interesting, and then this sheet here would have a sheet attached to this, simply to a cleat over there. Now the big question for me is this going to fill? Because it doesn't, you know what, you just don't know until you try it. But you can see how now we've got this Spinnaker as an asymmetric one. I mean, I don't see why that, if you had that like that, maybe you need a little bowsprit or you need the Spinnaker a little bit higher up. But I don't see how that wouldn't actually work when it fills with wind. Look, yeah. So that's a little test. What we can do, we can just keep it all hooked up, we'll bring it down, keep it protected, and then we'll get out on the lake and we'll see if we can get it flying. So the Spinnaker's down now, but all hooked up. All I'll need to do is raise the halyard and then adjust the one sheet that we need. I'm going to take this bag off, because it's only going to go and get wet. There we go. And then I wouldn't normally leave the spinnaker like that, but because it's so quiet today, because it's so calm, I think it's going to be fine. So let's weigh anchor and let's motor out, see if we can find some wind and see if we can get that spinnaker working. All I want to do is prove a point today with it. So yeah, let's go. So here we are. We're just going to see, keep the rudder midships. We're just going to see which way we drift. So in any event, the wind's going to be coming from over there, which means we'll be pointing that way, which means we want the sail on our port side. So I've got to re-rig that up. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work. There's so little wind, it's incredible. I've got a hidden cleat here. Let's use this. Little tiny one, but there we go. Okay. Let's just use the motor, I think, to get us in the right place. Okay. So we need to bring the boat about. Slowly but surely. And the wind should be coming from over here. So as we turn, you'll hopefully see it filling as we turn. Yeah, and we are doing. So there we go. That's hopeful. Okay. We're about there. So motor off. I'm going to pull the motor up because but I'm going to leave her on just in case, because she acts as a rudder, and then we only have this line really to worry about. She's definitely filling. And let's see if we can use this asymmetric spinnaker and get ourselves home. Right, so let's cleat that off. There we go. I mean, she's flying. Don't know if you can, yeah, you can make that out. She's flying. There is no wind though. I seem to have lost, let's stop that. Yeah, like that. As much as I love the bungees, I seem to be reverting to the ropes and doing reef knots. So there we go. Yeah, she's definitely flying a little better now. But we're not going anywhere quick. You can see from the lack of momentum I've got on the rudder. We don't really want to be going any further to port, to be honest with you. But she is filling, and she kind of looks fine. Oh, here we go. and we are doing 1.5 miles an hour, which today I don't know what the current would be. We do have a little current in the river, in the lake, and it does go up this way. One thing about the asymmetric spinnaker is it's definitely easier to get to fly. You've only got the one sheet to worry about. You can tie off the clue there and forget about it, and then you just put it up and, you know, tie it off. So I do like that. And then obviously it's about, you know, the angle of wind you've got. So the more the wind comes onto your beam, the more you need the asymmetric. And if you think about it, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because as the wind's coming on your beam, this parachute out the front of the boat isn't really going to get wind into it, is it? Whereas when the wind's behind you, an asymmetric's going to behave a bit more like a jib. So you don't really want your jib, you know, nice and tight, do you? You'd normally pole your jib out with the whisker pole. It is struggling a little bit down, you know, is that the leech you can see? But I think that's because, yeah, ideally I think this needs to fly a little higher, and it would need to be not on the same height as the jib is. But we are being pulled along, albeit very, very slowly. What will be interesting to work out is if we douse this now, to see how quickly we're actually we're drifting. We're probably just drifting, aren't we? Whoop. Trying to work out, there's a bit of rain coming in over there. Forecast actually keeps saying there will be rain around 1-2 o'clock, then there won't, then there is. Very hard to predict around here, the weather. UK weather in general's pretty tough to predict. Anyway, I've motored away from the shore over there, the west shore, and I've just got the boat adrift. Seems like we're still moving slightly to the east, but I wanted to just check our boat speedo. And actually, I've been sat here for the last sort of 3 or 4 minutes, and it's saying 0, and it's not moved at all. So that spinnaker was definitely giving us something, wasn't it? But at the moment, there's nothing. There's no wind at all. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's very rare I've seen this little wind for this long on the lake. You can see we're just coming around. We're almost south now. Oh, 240 degrees. And you'll see as we come around here, there we go, look, there she goes filling. So actually, yeah, there she goes. So let's just switch the engine off. So the wind is literally coming from north, and there she goes, she's filled. Well, that's just weird. And we're going approximately 3, about 2, heading 290. I can't work out the wind on this lake sometimes. I really can't. You may be able to make out some sort of people in red tops and a fire being lit there. And obviously the smoke will give some indication of where the wind's going. And as you can see, it's definitely going down the lake, which means it's a northerly wind of some nature. Yeah, I mean, look, plain as day. So this boat was sailing probably, you know, good 90 degrees to the wind and maybe a little bit more. So the asymmetric nature of this spinnaker really works. So the only thing I'd love to do is get the Spinnaker pushed out from the nose a little, you know, to give her a little bit more room to breathe. So I might just try that. I might just try and jury rig something up, see if we can get something working. So interestingly, I've got the whisker pole, and that actually properly sneaks through there. So let's just see what happens when we raise this. Right, I do need two hands to raise it. Let's just see what happens. We're going to end up going back down the lake. Oh, doing these knots. Mind you, a year and a half ago I couldn't even do these knots. So let's see what effect that has as we come round onto this northerly. You should see the sail fill about, well, any time now. We're not quite, there you go. There we go. There we go. Now this time I've clipped her right to the end of the pole there, so you can see I can adjust that a little bit more maybe. There you go. Ah, that's it. That's it. Oh yeah, that gives her a little bit more room. A bowsprit is what that's called. Now we can't seem to stop coming off the wind. Now the other thing is, does that almost works like a little bit of a track, doesn't it? But I think we need to let the Spinnaker fly a little bit more. Let's try and get a bit of speed. What we've got to be careful of is this Spinnaker, when we hit about 140 degrees off the wind, which we're almost there now, this Spinnaker's going to start failing, and this is where you need the Symmetric. That bowsprit definitely keeps it, look, you can see, well away from the jib. One thing I do need to do though is it's got a little bit tangled around the jib at the top, which I didn't realise. Oh yeah, look. Oh yes, it's because I brought it about the jib, didn't I? Because we had it on the wrong tack. That's interesting. But you can see again, look, the lack of wind. There's no. We're flogging a dead donkey here. I'm going to motor back and we'll see what happens at the top of the lake. So I'm looking at the weather. Hopefully you can just see that. You can see today, no wind, with a southerly breeze, but we're not getting that. Yeah, this is where the marker should be. I can see another one over there. Just in the distance, you may be able to pick that out. Yeah, there's no markers. It's really weird when there's no markers in the lake. This happened last year, and you're like, you don't know where you are. Everything looks different. Yeah, they've taken the markers in. Oh, that's horrible. End of the season. So we're going to come in, we're going to go in and then come round and approach Mockingbird into the wind on our port side. We don't need the rear one actually. So calm that and Mockingbird's in a kind of weird position off the the mooring. So I'm just going to come in on from behind and on the port side, or have Mocky D on the port side. And we'll kind of work our way out from there.